Good evening, everybody, and welcome to your Year 11 Preparing for Success evening. I'm just going to say a few words by way of introduction. The first thing I'll say is this is the first of two Thursday evening events for Year 11, next week being our open evening. So do come along to that. That will really be a chance to speak to our subject leaders in person, talking about the different things that we're offering for sixth form. So that's a good thing to do. And I think starting to talk about sixth form is a good way to focus the mind really about the year ahead, because a lot is going to happen for you as a year group and indeed parents. There's just a lot is going to happen in the next 12 months. So some crossroads that we're all coming to. And really tonight is just about helping you to navigate what's coming up and to just reassure you that we're here to support you. We're here to really work hard with you. One thing I would say about the year group just off the bat is this is a really good bunch of students. They've been a lovely bunch to work with all the way through. I'd love as many of you as possible to stay on in the sixth form. As a year group, you tend to make pretty good choices. I was in the gym with some of you this morning at 7 a.m. I had to get that in. So it's a year group that made great choices. Your behavior through school has been pretty good, I have to say. Your attitude's always been excellent. So what I don't want to happen is, I don't want you to get to the end of year 11 and not get what you deserve or not get what you're capable of. Many of you, the vast majority worked really hard during the lockdowns online. So there's a chance here for you to do extremely well, and I just don't want you to miss that opportunity by being a little bit, post-pandemic. And, I include ourselves in this, that it's hard to kind of maintain the normal pace of life at the moment. But I think what we all need to do is just kind of really start to switch on and become focused on what's coming up. And I suppose that will start with the mocks, which are around the corner. So just in terms of the year ahead, and as I mentioned, COVID there will obviously be some adjustments, to how the exams work next year in terms of the content covered. And our teachers are very, very aware of that and making those adjustments. And also to say that the government will make some adjustments to the grades. And this year they're going to start tightening things up a little bit as well. So don't be naive is my final message to you. Work really hard, get into good rhythms. If you're having trouble doing that, tonight is a night for us all to talk collectively about that. And if you've got any questions, parents now, especially with this one, if you can see the comments there to the right, we'll collate those and we'll start answering them as the evening goes on. So I think that's probably enough for me by way of introduction. I really have a lot of faith in this year group, and I know you're capable of really, really good things. And it's actually a real pleasure to have you around the school. So definitely come to our sixth form, because we'll miss you if you don't come. And use tonight to kind of switch on and say, I am really capable of doing well in year 11. I've got no doubt about that. But it won't just happen. It will require you to listen, to focus, and to work hard to get what you deserve. So I am switching over to Miss Miller and Mr. Kington.
Hi, good evening. Thanks for logging on. I'm going to speak for just a couple of minutes. What we're going to do over the course of this presentation is gradually get into more and more detail about how you can prepare for success. So I'm going to talk a little bit big picture. I'm going to hand over to Miss Miller shortly, who's going to run you through the nuts and bolts of the next few months, starting with the plan for mock exams after half term. And then before we go, we'll have a chance to hear from the subject directors, so the director of English, maths, science, etc., with some kind of very specific ideas and suggestions and tips for you guys in your individual subjects. So I hope that pattern works. I will echo what Mr. Scanlon said, and if you have any questions, please do put them in the comment section, because we will come back at the end to answer any questions that you may have about any of the content of tonight. So I'm going to just start by saying a bit of introduction about the exams process and kind of learning moving forward. And I think it's a time, it's a difficult time because we want, in a funny kind of way, we need our students and our young people that are about to sit exams to have a kind of a healthy dose of kind of concern and worry. Obviously, a little bit of fear is okay. In fact, it's a good thing. It shows you care. It shows you want to do well. And if you don't have any kind of worry or fear about your exams, then you could argue that that's actually pretty reckless and risky. So being slightly concerned about how things are going to go is nothing to worry about. It's perfectly normal. What we don't want, of course, is for people to become so worried and anxious that that affects their performance. So getting that balance right over the next few months is going to be important. Students, your teachers will be pushing you. It's their job to push you. It's their job to say, this needs to be better, this needs to be improved. But they're also going to tell you all the time, you've got this. You know what you're doing, you can do this. And it's really important that you listen to them when they say both of those things. If things need to be better or things need to improve, they're saying that for a reason, to help you be successful. And if they're saying you can do it, they mean it. They mean that you can do it. So make sure you listen to both of those things when they're done. Miss Miller shortly is going to talk about things like intervention and what you guys can do and some revision tips. But I just wanted to spend a moment talking about your lessons, because by far and away the most valuable asset that you guys have left are the lessons that you have between now and your exams. So when you're in your lessons, take advantage of all those opportunities. Every reconnect that you do from now until your exams is valuable. Every time you get to engage or re-engage with stuff you've learned before is important. Every time you're given the opportunity to try and recall something that you learned last week, last month, last year is important, because when you're sitting an exam and you're on your own, you will need to be able to kind of draw upon those memory recall skills and kind of find your own way out of problems that you may or may not necessarily come instinctively. So take advantage of those. Make sure that you're taking good notes. Go the extra mile to complete something at home if it's not quite done in class. And absolutely 100% complete your home learning. Like that's so important in the last run-in. So just maximize your opportunity with your teachers, and of course that starts by being here as much as you possibly can. And obviously in a world of COVID, we know that can be tricky. So it's about maximizing those opportunities. I'm just going to say one more thing about the exam system. The way in which our education system is run in this country is around final exams and around and there's a kind of a peculiar way that our grade distribution is worked out. So in some ways, the number of grades are kind of predetermined to a degree. So everyone is in the same boat, and every single student in year 11 is sitting the same exams. They have the same concessions across the board, and everybody in year 11 last year was in a lockdown. Everyone has missed a degree of their education. So you're kind of competing against every other year 11 student in the country in a funny kind of way. That's how our exam system works. But I really do think you guys have a massive advantage over some other students, and that's not to kind of so you get complacent. It's to give you that confidence. You guys had a 3-year Key Stage 4, which in hindsight has actually worked out really well. Most of your teachers will finish the teaching well before the exam and give you plenty of time to revise. Maybe not the case for some other students in other schools. There was a good online provision in lockdown. And more importantly, you have masses and masses of support available to you if you want to access that. Miss Miller will take over very shortly, and she will talk to you in a bit more detail about that individual support and the things that are being put in place to help you guys. So do switch on, do pay attention. And again, I'll say to students and parents, if you have any questions about anything that's coming, please put them in the comments box, and we'll be back at the end to have those conversations. So yes, thank you guys. Maintain that balance between a healthy dose of kind of concern and wanting to do well, okay, and not stressing out too much. Take advantage of your lessons because they're the most useful tool that you've got between now and the exam. And remember, you know, everyone's in the same boat, okay? And if anything, you guys have more opportunities to access support than some others. So thanks for listening. I'll now hand over to Miss Miller, who'll take you through the details.
Brilliant, thank you. Good evening, everyone. So obviously Mr. Kington's emphasised the importance of your exams and the position that you're in terms of sitting them. So I now just wanted to talk to you a little bit about how the rest of your year is going to shape up and all of the help and support that's going to be available to you during that time. So I thought it'd be most useful to start with a timeline of how the final 8 months of your time in Year 11 is going to look. And so obviously we're here starting right now with your preparing for exam success evening. This has been mentioned to you already this evening, but next Thursday is our W6 form open evening. And it will be a live event, so you'll be invited in to find out more about post-16 options, and it will give you a really good chance to speak to sixth form teachers and also sixth form students. So they'll be able to give you an experience or information about their experience in the sixth form. And it will give you an insight into sort of what's on offer. And it's a really, really good opportunity for also you to find out more information about life and study after 16. It's quite different to GCSE study. So even if you're not intending on staying for our sixth form, we encourage all of you to attend just as a really good opportunity to find out more about what life is like when you finish your GCSEs. So you'll then have a week-long half-term break, during which you are going to be expected to carry out your own independent revision, because the first 2 weeks back after half-term are going to be your mock fortnight. You will get a timetable of those mock exams before you break up for half-term. So you will have a very clear idea before half-term of how your exams are going to be spaced out. But just so you are aware, you can expect to have an exam most mornings and afternoons during that fortnight. Lessons during that 2 weeks as well will be revision-based. So you will have time to revise the subjects you might have an afternoon exam in. So make sure you are prepared and organised with the revision that you plan to carry out each day around your exams. Your mock papers will be marked by your class teachers. And then on the evening of Thursday, the 25th of November, you'll have a parents' evening, obviously with all of your class teachers. And it's on that evening that you will collect your mock results. So you'll open your envelopes, you'll have like a little mini results day moment. You will find out what all your mock results are, and then you'll meet with all of your subject teachers to discuss where you're currently at and then what you need to do moving forward to help you improve upon those mock grades. The day after that is an inset day, but Year 11 come in on that day. So it's a specially designed and designated inset day where just you guys will be in for the day. You'll be off timetable. You won't have your normal lessons, but you will have various sessions, including a careers network, advice and support on wellbeing, and study skill sessions to help you work out how to improve upon your mock grades. We'll then have the usual Christmas break, and I do really recommend that you have a good rest during that time, as when you come back in January, it will be sort of all systems go. Class teachers will aim to have their content taught and completed by the Easter holidays, after which your lesson time will be dedicated towards revision. So you will therefore sit a second round of mocks in your core subjects only between the 1st and 11th of March, so your maths, English and science. Off the back of those, we will then have another exam success evening, and that will be designed to support you with sort of final preparations as your exams approach. Then we're really into the countdown of your GCSE exams, and they are set to take place between the 9th of May and the 24th of June. Because that's a much longer time period, obviously, than your mock fortnight, you will find that your real exams will be much more spread out than the mocks that you're about to sit. You might still have a morning and an afternoon exam on the same day, but equally you might have a day or two between those exams as well. So it will really allow you to plan your revision properly and work out what you're going to do when. With regard to study leave, because I know a lot of you are already asking about that, our school operates its study leave in terms of still expecting you to attend school until your final exams, But obviously, instead of your usual timetable, we'll look to put some kind of support and revision timetable in place to replace your usual lessons. So you will have that support as the exams approach, and you'll get more information on that closer to the time. And then finally, I did just want to mention on the timeline, I know a lot of you in your student surveys are saying that you're worried about prom not going ahead and things like that. So the fun and enjoyable part as your year 11 comes to an end. Whilst GCSE exams are of course stressful, they will come just before the longest and probably most enjoyable summer of your school career. And so we will hold a Leavers celebration assembly for you all on the morning of the 30th of June. And then that will be followed by you having a prom on Friday, the 1st of July. You will get more details about that on the inset day in November, but I know you've been worried about that not going ahead. So I wanted to let you know that we very much plan for it to, so that you can celebrate all of your hard work, obviously not just from this year, but from the past 3 years together. And then finally, results day is placed as being on the 25th of August 2020. So you'll be able to come into school on that day, collect your GCSE results and see how you've done. So whilst your exams, I imagine to some of you, still seem really far away, quite a while away, those that do best in their exams really are the people that get started with revision and accessing support as soon as you possibly can and as early as possible. This intervention timetable shouldn't be new to all of you. It's been shared with you multiple times, and I've already seen so many of you attending these sessions. But what I will say, what I really want to emphasize is that being focused and making the most out of your lessons and attending these interventions really is sort of the bare minimum that we expect of you. So if you haven't attended any yet, I really strongly recommend that you start to, particularly next week, as you go ahead towards your mock exams. Now, in terms of the GCSE exams themselves, no one is denying that you've had some disruption to your education. And I have absolutely no doubt in my mind that being the first cohort to sit your GCSE exams in a number of years is going to be a daunting prospect. But as Mr. Kington said, every single year 11 in the country is in the same position of you. And there are going to be some concessions put in place to help you complete them to the very best of your ability under the circumstances in which you are sitting them. So they will be more spread out than the mocks, as I said, taking place between the 9th of May and the 24th of June. They will either be a morning or afternoon, but you might have 2 exams on the same day. That's quite typical. You'll continue to be in school until they finish, but with a revision plan in place to support you. And they will be happening, but there are going to be some adjustments being made and put in place. So things like a choice of topics in some GCSE exams, advanced information on the focus of exams, and some will have support materials in some subjects given to you. Your subject teachers are aware of adjustments that are being made as they come in, and they will give you details on those adjustments as they are released and as the exams approach. I've also shared this home with everybody, but I'll pop it in your year group classroom too, because you've got a table of exam boards available to you. And it could be really useful for things like if you want to buy some revision guides to help you out and you're not entirely sure what exam board you're following. We will have sort of resources available for revision here for you as well. But if you are looking to get yourself any revision guides or things like that, those are the exam boards that you follow. So in terms of revision, a lot of you are saying on your student survey results that you want some help and support with knowing how to revise, and we'll definitely be responding to that and helping you over the next few weeks and in the long term as well. So fundamentally, effective revision is going to be key in you achieving your own personal best. And so many of your teachers will honestly say to you that the people that do best in their exams are the ones who are just willing to put in the time and effort into their revision and into their exam preparation. It's not always about who's the cleverest person. It's actually just about those who are willing to work hard and put the effort in. And if you do that, you will be rewarded. So as I said, being in lessons and attending interventions really is the minimum expected of you. Make your revision useful and start as early as you can. Even if you're just chipping away at it in small chunks, it will be worth it in the long run. And it's proven that when it comes to revision techniques, things like just reading over notes, writing out notes and highlighting, they're thought to be some of the least effective methods. Some of the information will go in, but often when you're just reading through notes, your mind can really easily wander and you can get distracted. And so instead, a huge amount of evidence suggests that the most effective is self-testing and spreading your revision over time. So that can be things like flashcards, having post-it notes around your room with answers, questions and answers on, testing one another, talking about things with your friends, and spreading it out and chipping away at it over a much longer period of time. And actually, there's also a lot of research to suggest that breaking your revision down into 30-minute chunks is the most effective. So when you're coming up with a revision plan, don't look at a day and say, I'm going to revise for 8 hours solid and I'm going to do an hour of each subject, because it won't be the most productive use of your time. You're better breaking it down into smaller chunks and having a revision plan that is topic-based rather than subject-based. For example, rather than just saying, I'm going to revise geography in that half an hour, pick a topic of geography that you're going to focus on. And to support you with that, rather than just giving you a load of information, next Thursday morning in tutor time, which is the 21st of October, we're going to dedicate that tutor time to study skills and revision timetables to set you up for that half-term break. So we've got some advice from Miss Corrigan, and we're going to get you some revision planners and timetables and get you creating them on Thursday morning before you go away for your half-term break. Okay. So this is a good example of a weekly revision plan. This is the plan that we'll be giving you during that tutor time, and we'll give you this template and help you work out what your plan is going to be over half-term. You have to be revising over that half-term break, not all day, every single day, but just doing little half an hour chunks here and there. So we've covered a lot of what the exams are going to look like and the things that you need to be doing. But obviously, Mr. Kington mentioned this, part and parcel of Year 11 and just GCSE exams in general is going to be a little anxiety and a little bit of stress. And as Mr. Kington said, small levels of stress and anxiety are a good thing. They'll give you the motivation to revise. They'll give you that adrenaline that you need to get into an exam hall and to actually sit your exams. But obviously, it's a fine balance between making sure that those stress levels aren't too high and you starting to feel a bit overwhelmed. So the most important piece of advice for all of you is to talk to us if that stress becomes too much. You have got such a wealth of people that can help and support you. So obviously you've got Mr. Kington as your year group chapter head. You've got myself as your head of year. You've got Mrs. Smith, who's available all the time during the day as your PSO. You now have your tutors back who are here and ready and willing to support you. We've got our chaplain, Mr. Sanderson, all of your subject teachers. And if you access particular SEND help, then you have access to that as well. Basically, any member of staff at this school is here, ready and willing to help you if you need it. So don't bottle it up. Don't bury your head in the sand. Strike a balance between being honest with yourself and the effort that you're putting in, but also by asking for help early on so it doesn't become too much and it doesn't become too overwhelming. This morning, you had an online assembly in tutor time from Mr. Andane, where he started to talk to you about mental health and giving some tips on how to manage and improve your mental well-being. And part of that included us launching something called the Wellbeing Hub. So all students here at SRWA have access to that resource, and it's got sort of a huge amount of advice and tips on how to manage anxiety and stresses, and particularly when they start to become too much and start to have sort of a detrimental effect upon your mental health. So please do sort of check out that resource, just explore it, have a look at it. Details of how you can access it have been posted on your year group Google Classroom today. So you can start exploring that website nice and early on and finding some bits and bobs that will help you out and support you during the rest of this year. It's only 8 or 9 months until the end of year 11. So finally, I just wanted to finish by saying about the help and support that's available to you, the resources that are available to you in sort of achieving your personal best during this final year. So we've already spoken about the intervention sessions, the study skills, revision advice that we will give you, as well as wellbeing and stress support. And we will support you as much as possible. Plus you get really excellent teaching on a daily basis here at the Academy. Parents, you've got a role to play as well. You can be encouraging independent study at home, supporting with homework. Do things like ask your children to show you their revision timetables, or test them with flashcards over the dinner table. Support them in getting a good night's sleep each day so their brains are able to function in the highest performing manner. There's plenty that you can be doing, but also students, you need to not just rely on us and your parents to get you through the rest of that academic year. You need to help yourselves by getting started with revision early, put the effort in to carry out your independent study outside of school, and fundamentally make sure you're engaging with your lessons, cutting out any silly behaviours in lesson or distraction, and making the most of every single second that you have got in lesson time. And on our website, I will send this link out to you. There is a whole page dedicated to Year 11 exam success, which will give you loads of different resources, both revision-based and subject-based. So you can have a little look and explore that website during your half-term revision. So I'm hoping that much of this evening has already answered your questions, but I appreciate that you might have had more during this time. So you're now going to watch some videos from our curriculum directors with loads of tips and advice on revising for certain subject areas. And then hopefully at the end of that, we'll be able to reconvene and answer some of your questions. Thank you.
Okay, so first thing to do is to not leave starting revising. Start as soon as possible. And the other key thing is to remember that making sure you do little and often, and that idea of repetition, that spaced repetition, is really important. So a lot of students ask, well, how do they start? They know what materials are out there, but they struggle with knowing how exactly to revise. So the first thing that you can do in science is certainly to use Educate, the online revision platform. And then the second thing you can do is go onto the revision resources on the Google Drive via the website. And the third thing you can do is use a revision guide that's going to be made available on WisePay, ready for next half term. And there are 1 revision guide for combined science, and then 3 revision guides for triple science. And the idea is that these revision guides are very much about not just a book of information, but there is knowledge, and then you can use that knowledge and it gets you to practice retrieving it, and then it gets you to practice applying it to exam questions. So that's a really important kind of how. And then if you're using Educate, the tasks are on there ready for you to complete, so you don't have to worry about searching for tasks, but you can just reset and test yourself on any topic on Educate. So in terms of where to focus for your mocks in November, paper 1 for all of your biology, chemistry and physics topics is where you need to focus. But again, how do you know what those topics are? It's all on the Google Drive. If you click in the revision checklists, and there's also a separate document for paper 1 topics with links to online lessons that will go through worked exam questions and like walking, talking questions, as well as going through the key concepts and information that you need to be successful in your mocks in November.
Yep. So in maths, what we recommend pupils to do for revision is to find the things that they can't do and fix it, and use the appropriate tools to then fix it and retest themselves. So one thing that they'll get every week is a homework booklet, an exam booklet that they'll use and practice. But the very useful strategy would be then for revision is to go back and look at the teacher feedback, but then redo the questions that they may have had difficulty with in the past. Similarly, using Hegarty Maths for the assignments that we set, that pupils can again identify historically which ones they've struggled with. They can then use the function on Hegarty Maths, which is fix up 5, which goes over things that have done incorrectly before, or alternatively, they can regularly use the memory, which is retesting them to make sure that they've got the recall and then the fluency and flexible knowledge that they'll need to then learn other topics throughout the year. What we'll be looking at is after their mocks, we'll start to then introduce a revision workbook that they can use. But most importantly at the moment, I would say exam booklets and Hegarty.
Okay, so good evening, Year 11. So the 3 things that you need to do between now and your GCSEs to be successful in languages are, number 1, independent learning is going to play a vital part in you making progress in our subject. Your Seneca tasks are the number 1 thing that you need to concentrate on. These will be set by your teachers, and these revise the GCSE modules that you've covered from Year 9 to Year 10 to Year 11. The second thing you need to work on is vocab learning. Make sure that you are going beyond the vocab lists that are being set by your teachers every week. Make flashcards, use Quizlet to create vocab sets that you can then use by the time you come to revise for your GCSEs. And the third thing that you can do is preparation. So revision guides, working your way through past questions, speak to your teachers if you want some guidance with these, and just ask them about past GCSE questions that you can work on. How can you prepare your speaking questions? And all of that will help contribute to you making good progress in the subject. If you struggle with independent learning, please also remember that there is a Wednesday evening homework support club from 4 to 5. Thank you.
Okay, so in humanities, we have 3 different subjects to be aware of. We've got geography, we've got history and RE. The good thing is they all have like fairly similar skills and approaches to revision that will really help you. So let's talk about geography first. So you've got 3 different exams. You've got a physical exam, a human exam, and then there's a skills paper. So when you're dividing your revision, you should be speaking to your teachers and trying to address your revision in those 3 ways. To support you with the knowledge for that, Geography have invested quite heavily in Educake, which has all the organised knowledge and knowledge sections that you need to look at. With history, we again have 3 different areas to look at. We have knowledge, we have skillful, we have literate. There is a huge wealth of Google Drive resources for you that have been shared through Google Classroom and also on the school's website. Probably the most useful thing for you in terms of revising your knowledge is the Seneca modules that we have signed you up for, and you can find login details for that again on Google Classroom. Combined with that, doing practice questions, which have all been shared with you on Google Classroom right at the bottom of the stream. Those things, I would do 1 of them every single week, and the longest one is about 20 minutes long. So that, in combination with Seneca, will really improve your history knowledge and your history skills. We also have RE, which again has 3 different areas to focus on, 3 different exams. Christian practices and Islamic practices are the main ones being tested in these mocks. To support you with that, we have got Seneca. Again, the login details for Seneca have been sent out on Google Classroom, and that will organise your knowledge revision for you perfectly.
Hi, Year 11 and Year 11 parents. Okay, so for English, what are the best things you can do to start preparing for exam season? First, you need to address your gaps. Your teacher can't really do that for you. Lots of you have been in and out. So it's down to you, really. We're setting up our Thursdays, aren't we? Lockdown gaps. Come and your teacher will help you. However, it is down to you. There'll be certain chapters, certain scenes of Macbeth that you might have missed. I have put, as you know from all the emails you'll have received, I have put lots of material on Google Classroom for you. The Oak Academy lessons are brilliant, actually. If you've missed a whole chapter, look for that chapter, and there's a lesson, very, very well-structured lesson for you on there. So make sure you're filling in gaps from your own learning. The good news is, I think I've told you this, we don't have to study Animal Farm anymore. That's been taken off the curriculum. So that eases the pressure on us a little bit. But of course, we are a content-heavy subject, as you will know for your November mocks. Macbeth and Jekyll and Hyde we'll worry about for the November mocks, and then we'll be needing to filling some gaps for poetry as well. everything is going to be Google Classroom. It's a brilliant resource. Make sure you're logging on. As you know, your teachers are making you some quizzes on chapters of the book and on individual poems. So that's a very quick way, an effective way for you to learn. We are running our Thursdays. Thursday is English Intervention Day. The expectation is that you will attend those sessions. As you know, there are masterclasses if your target grade is from 6 to grade 9, and then there are classes to help those that need to catch up, a specific class called Getting Your 5. We've got all sorts of ideas for how we might run that in the next half term. Your teachers might have told you we are planning Saturdays. We're going to do Saturday the 6th of November. So there's all sorts that we're offering. You know, if you're prepared to work hard, then we are too.
Okay, so we'll follow our own advice and not keep you too much longer. Just a couple of things on the back of what we've heard. The first is just to acknowledge just how brilliant the teachers at the school are. They're a really, really strong bunch, and I'm not just saying that. I have worked in lots of schools. This is as good a group of teachers as I've seen around Year 11 students. So let's not waste that, guys. Let's just listen to these people. They really do know what they're talking about, and they will get you there if you work with them. I'm aware that due to some COVID cases, some of you have missed quite a bit at the start of the year, much more than we would have liked. Now, don't worry too much about that at this stage. What we're going to do is catch you up in school. Okay, so we're looking at how we're going to do that. Miss Sale there referred to, we're going to be doing some Saturday school. We will actually introduce more and more events outside of normal school time. Obviously, those intervention classes are really quite important. So don't stress if you've missed those first 2 weeks, and don't get bogged down with things like that. We'll find a way to catch you up, and we'll do a lot of that. We did have some question around revision guides. One of the things that we're going to do is actually we're going to buy everybody revision guides, and we'll get that sorted over the next couple of weeks. We'll buy those for 6 subjects. So you don't need to go out and spend a lot of money on revision guides now. We're going to supply you with quite a few of those. Okay, so maybe it'll be 6 subjects that we cover. So there might be some other ones that you're interested in, but we will cover most of that. The mock evening, what comes at the end of the mocks? We're finding that the online forum is working quite well. Obviously, I don't want to have lots and lots of events at school, with the way things are. So that one will probably be online, but we'll confirm that to you plenty of time in advance. So nothing else for me to say other than thank you for listening. And if I could leave you with just one thing, it's just, no matter what, just believe in yourself. Don't kind of give up. That's the secret. If you just keep going, have a lot of faith in yourself, you are in a school that will get you there. You have teachers and support staff that will help get you there. And if you've managed to listen for these 45 minutes, trust me, you'll be fine. Just keep going. Okay, just keep going and have a lot of faith in yourself. You've a lot to be proud of. And I'm looking forward to spending the rest of this academic year with you all. You're a great bunch. And thanks for tuning in. All the best.